In my first 90 days, I made over $3,000 selling digital products on Etsy as a homeschooling stay-at-home mom without posting on social media or paying for ads. And in this video, I'll break down exactly how you can do the same. I'm Lucretia, and I've given over 800 people inside my mentorship program, the Sales Sprint, the strategies to make their first sale without paying for ads or posting on social media. And if you're brand new, I put together a free Etsy starter guide that shows you the exact 2-day checklist that you can use to start your Etsy shop this weekend. You'll find it linked in the description. Most beginners waste hours trying to grow on Instagram or TikTok and end up burnt out instead of making sales. What I'll show you today is how to focus on the strategies that actually make sales so you can skip the frustration and make money faster. But before we jump into the strategies, let me show you what this actually looked like inside of my shop. In October of 2022, my very first month selling digital products on Etsy, I made about $315 in revenue and took home around $230 in profit. And that was just with 2 or 3 digital products listed in my shop. I wasn't working full-time hours. I didn't wait until I had multiple products ready to list, and I was still figuring things out as I went. But those first sales proved it was possible. By November, my second full month selling digital products on Etsy, my shop jumped to about $1,300 in revenue and a little over $1,000 in profit. And at this point, I still had fewer than 5 digital products in my shop. That shows you don't need dozens of listings to make money. A small shop with the right digital products can grow quickly. Then in December, things really picked up. I brought in about $2,400 in revenue and nearly $1,900 in profit, with one day hitting over $200 in sales. And remember, these were all digital products. I wasn't shipping anything, I wasn't running ads, and I wasn't spending hours on TikTok or Instagram trying to get attention. So in my first 90 days on Etsy, I had over $3,200 deposited into my bank account with a shop that had less than 10 digital products in it. No social media and no ads. And I'm not sharing this to brag. I just want you to see what's possible when you focus on the right strategies from the start. Because if I could do this as a homeschooling stay-at-home mom with a very limited time, you can too. So let's start with the first shift that completely changed how I approached Etsy. Strategy 1, don't sell products, sell solutions. When I first opened my Etsy shop, I didn't list 50 products. I started with 1 digital product. The key was that it solved a real problem. Here's what I mean by a real problem. Buyers don't come to Etsy to scroll through random pictures. They come because they need something specific, and they usually need it really fast. A parent needs birthday invitations today. A teacher needs classroom decor for tomorrow. A host needs baby shower games for this weekend. Most beginners spend too much time worrying about the product itself. Like, should this be green? Or is this font cute enough? But sales come down to how clearly you communicate the solution. Take this watercolor clip art set, for example. The photo doesn't just show how cute the animals are. It highlights 150 separate PNG files and that they're high resolution, fine watercolor clip art. That tells a buyer, I'll have everything I need for my craft project and it'll be high quality. Or this daily schedule template. This photo shows it working on a phone, laptop, and iPad. Plus, it has step-by-step labels like purchase, personalize, print. That communicates I can be organized in minutes and use this on whatever device I already have. That's the role of strong listing photos. They don't just show the product, they show the solution. When you stop thinking like a seller and start thinking like a buyer with a deadline, your products instantly get stronger. That's how one good digital product can bring in daily sales even if you're just starting out. But even the best products won't sell if they're buried on page 20. Which brings us to strategy number 2, focus on Etsy SEO, not social media. You don't need to spend hours on Instagram or TikTok trying to go viral because Etsy doesn't reward popularity. It rewards relevance, and that's where SEO comes in. SEO stands for search engine optimization. On Etsy, that just means using the same words in your title, tags, and descriptions that a buyer would type into the Etsy search bar. Here's an example. If a mom is planning a birthday party, she doesn't open TikTok and type in unicorn birthday invitation. She goes straight to Etsy or Google, searches exactly what she needs, and scrolls until she finds the right option. And the great great part is Etsy listings show up on Google too. So when you use the right keywords, you're not only showing up on Etsy, but also on the world's largest search engine. That's the power of SEO. Instead of interrupting people on social media when they're not looking to buy, you're placing your listing in front of people who are already searching for it and ready to buy it. This matters for sales because one, intent is different. On social media, people are just looking to be entertained. On Etsy, they're searching with a specific need and are ready to buy. That's why even a small shop can show up before bigger shops if your keywords match what the buyer typed in. And number two, it builds over time. Once your listings are optimized, they can continue to bring in sales week after week without you having to constantly post on social media trying to stay relevant. And after working with over 800 beginners on Etsy, I see the same 3 mistakes over and over again when it comes to titles. The first mistake is not using enough words. A title like digital planner is way too vague. Etsy has no idea who it's for or what makes it different. You're competing with thousands of listings instead of targeting the right buyer. Mistake number 2 is using too many repetitive words. Titles like animal clip art, woodland animal clip art, cute animal clip art don't help you show up in more search results. Etsy already connects related keywords. Repeating them just wastes space that could be used to help you show up in even more search results. And mistake number 3 is adding unnecessary words. I've seen titles like ADHD cleaning checklist made by someone with ADHD. Buyers are not searching for your personal backstory in your title. They're searching for the product. Save the story for your description or your listing photos. And if this part feels overwhelming, don't worry. Inside the sales sprint, I give you the exact SEO checklist and keyword strategies I've used to bring in almost 200,000 views to my Etsy shop. But in the meantime, here's a simple framework to help you show up higher in search results. Clear, specific, scannable. Clear enough that a buyer instantly knows what your product is. Specific enough that it matches exactly what they typed in the search bar. Scannable enough that buyers don't get overwhelmed when they see it. Etsy SEO is like road signs on a highway. If your sign is clear and says exit 12 Chick-fil-A, the right drivers, which are your buyers, will know to take the exit. If your sign is cluttered with 20 different restaurant names, they'll drive right past it and never even know your product was an option. And once buyers find you in search results, the next step is getting them to actually click. This leads us into strategy number 3, create clear, clickable thumbnails. You might be thinking, okay, I've gotten keywords down, but how do I actually get people to click on my listing? That's where thumbnails come in. Your thumbnail is the very first image buyers see in search results. The mistake I see the most here is that sellers cram way too much into one image. 10 fonts, 6 colors, and so much detail that on a phone screen, it's impossible to read. Remember, most Etsy shoppers are browsing on a mobile device. If your thumbnail isn't clear and readable in 2 seconds, buyers will scroll right past it. Now let's look at a few best-selling thumbnails for clues. The first thumbnail is for the Etsy listing mockups. Instead of just showing blank mockups, the thumbnail clearly spells out 115 plus Etsy listing mockups. Buyers instantly know it's a bundle, how many are included, and how they'll use it. Next is the funny Father's Day card. Notice how simple this is. One bold design, one clear message. It makes you smile and you instantly know what you're getting. A funny printable card. That's why it converts even though it's competing in a huge category. And then we have the template bundle with the cash background. Even though it's busier, it still works because it highlights the key selling points. 7,000 plus done for you pages. That number alone makes a potential buyer stop scrolling because the value is so obvious. And then we have the digital planner thumbnail. Look at the top banner. 150 covers, 200 plus templates, 800 plus pages. Buyers don't even have to click to see the value. The thumbnail does the selling by making the offer tangible. Here's the takeaway. A strong thumbnail doesn't try to show everything. They didn't try to fit 7,000 pages on the thumbnail or 150 covers on the thumbnail. It focuses on what matters most to the buyer, whether that's the finished look like the card, the usability like the planner, or the quantity and value like the bundles. So before you upload your next thumbnail, Ask yourself, if I were scrolling on my phone, would this stop me and make me curious enough to click? If the answer is no, then make sure you watch this video where I show you how to make really good thumbnails that don't just stop the scroll, but they turn into sales, because clicks alone don't pay the bills. And the next piece is where a lot of beginners get stuck. Strategy number 4, price for sales, not emotions. One of the fastest ways to stall your shop is pricing your products based on how much you think they're worth instead of how much buyers are actually paying for them. Buyers on Etsy are comparing your product with dozens of others side by side. Your price isn't just floating alone. It's part of the comparison. These are the exact levers you can pull with pricing to gain traction in your first 90 days. Lever 1 is using anchor pricing to make your current price look like a deal. If most planners in your niche are listed at $4 to $6 and you list yours at $12, buyers aren't even going to stop to see if it's worth it. They're just going to assume it's overpriced and move on. On the flip side, if everything is $4 and you list your product at $1, they are going to assume it's low quality unless you have a lot of 5-star reviews. The sweet spot is competitive but not bargain basement. Lever 2 is using budget-friendly pricing, so instead of one sale a week, you start seeing multiple sales a day. Especially in your first 90 days, your goal isn't to make $20 from each sale. It's to get consistent orders, build reviews, and show Etsy your shop is active. That momentum gets your listings shown more often. I priced my very first product lower than I wanted, and that's what helped me hit my first 100 sales in just 35 days. Here's a real pricing example from my shop. I have one product listed at $13.86. In the last 30 days from this recording, it's brought in about 4 sales and around $35 in revenue. Another product I listed at about $3.23 has brought in about 40 sales and around $117 in revenue in that same 30-day time period. So the lower priced item didn't just sell more, it actually made 3 times the revenue. And that's because people shop differently on Etsy. A $3 product feels like a quick no-brainer purchase, an impulse buy. But at $13, buyers start hesitating. They start asking questions like, do I really need this? Or should I keep looking? And when they hesitate, they click away to compare their options. A lot of beginners think higher prices will make them more money, but the truth is the opposite when you're just starting out. With millions of buyers on Etsy every single month, even a simple $3 product can turn into daily sales really quick. Pricing lever number 3 is to use bundles so buyers feel like they're getting way more value with just one purchase. Instead of selling one game for $2, you can offer a pack of 10 games for $5. The buyers feel like they're getting more value. You make more per order, and your shop starts climbing with higher revenue per sale. Here are a few simple ways to do this. The first is with mega bundles. Take products you already have and combine them into one bigger set. For example, instead of just one baby shower game, you could create a mega bundle with over 20 different games. Buyers love this because it feels like a one-stop shop and it gives them way more options to choose from. Option 2 is to bundle and save. Etsy has a built-in tool where you can bundle up to 3 products and buyers can save a percentage like 30% off. That encourages shoppers to grab more than just one product. And the third option is matching sets. You can create bundles by pairing products that naturally go together. For example, you can sell a wedding invitation template with matching RSVP cards and thank you cards. Buyers want the complete look, and bundling makes their decision even easier. Bundling works because it shifts the buyer's mindset from, should I buy this one thing, to which bundle gives me the most value. That's how you make each order worth more without doing more work. At the end of the day, pricing isn't just about picking a number you feel good about. It's about understanding how buyers make decisions. When you price competitively, you remove the hesitation and make it super easy for the buyer to say yes. When you use bundles, you increase the value of each order without doing extra work. And when you combine those strategies, you give your shop the best chance at making sales quickly. But here's where it gets even easier. Strategy number 5, use Etsy's built-in sales boosters. Etsy doesn't just leave you alone to figure this all out by yourself. They have built-in systems that help you get your products in front of more people, and the more you understand them, the more you can benefit. First are related listings. When a buyer clicks on someone else's product, Etsy shows similar items, including yours, in the You May Also Like section. Even if you don't win the first click, you still have a chance to win the sale if your product is competitive. A lot of beginners think the only way to get seen is by ranking #1 in search results. But with related listings, you have multiple chances to show up in front of the right people. Next up is the bestseller badge. Once your listing hits a certain sales volume, Etsy tags it with a bestseller badge. That label instantly builds trust and signals to buyers other people are purchasing this, so it's a safe purchase. Beginners often stress out if they don't get this badge on their products right away, but you don't need it to make sales. The badge is a bonus, not a requirement. Next, we have personalized recommendations. Etsy tracks what buyers search and click on, then shows them more of those products later. That means your listing can follow a shopper around the platform, giving them multiple chances to come back and buy. Beginners usually underestimate this, but sometimes a buyer skipped your product once and Etsy brings it back in front of them 3 more times, and that's when the sale happens. And then we have favorites follow-up. When someone favorites your item but doesn't buy, Etsy often reminds them with a notification or email. It's basically Etsy following up for you, keeping your product in front of buyers until they're ready to purchase. A common beginner mistake is assuming a favorite is just a like, but on Etsy, it's a buying signal. That person is interested, and Etsy is going to help push them toward the checkout. And then we have abandoned cart reminders. If a shopper adds your product to their cart and leaves, Etsy automatically follows up, sometimes even with a coupon code. That's extra marketing you don't have to manage yourself. A mistake I see with beginners is thinking they have to message everyone individually. The good news is Etsy already automates this for you. So here's why all of this matters. Etsy is actively helping you make more sales in the background. These boosters give your products extra chances to get seen and extra chances to convert into sales. And this happens without you having to chase buyers down, sending random DMs, or paying for ads. Your job is to make sure that your listings are strong enough. That means clear titles, solid thumbnails, and competitive pricing so that when Etsy does promote your products, the buyers are ready to click and ready to buy. Which brings us to the strategy that takes you from a few sales here and there to a reliable monthly income. Strategy number 6, stack small wins into big results. When I made $3,000 in my first 90 days on Etsy, most of that came from one digital product that took off. And that's an important reminder. Sometimes it only takes one digital product to give your shop the big boost and momentum. But here's the mistake I made. I assumed that momentum would last forever. I created a few more products, saw my income climbing, and then I stopped working on my shop. I thought the sales would just stay the same, but they didn't. My winning product was trending, and the other products I was making were just variations of it. Different fonts, different colors, or cluster products like a matching meal planner and time blocking template. As more sellers jumped on the trend and started offering bigger bundles and more features, my product started to lose traction because it didn't stand out anymore. That's why it's important to understand the difference between trending, seasonal, and evergreen products. And it's very important to have a mix of them in your shop. Trending products are items that take off quickly because they're tied to a certain style or current event. They can bring in a lot of sales fast, but the sales fade usually once the trend dies down. My first bestseller fell into this category. The pros of a trending product is that it can get you sales fast and it's great for building momentum. The con is that it's not a reliable source of long-term income. Next, we have seasonal products. These are tied to a specific event or holiday like Christmas, Valentine's Day, New Year's Eve. You get the gist. They sell well in bursts, but die down until that season rolls around again. The pro of seasonal products is that you can get a huge burst in sales whenever that season rolls around. The con is that your sales are going to be limited to that short time period of that holiday or event. And then we have evergreen products, which are products people are looking for year round. So think meal planners, budget checklists, birthday invitations. They may not explode like a trend, but they create steady, reliable income. The pro with evergreen products are the consistency of long-term income. The con is that there's more competition, which means you'll need to stand out with keywords and strong listing photos. What I learned the hard way is that you do not want to rely on just one product. When you have a product that starts taking off, Keep working on your shop. Don't get careless and don't get distracted. Here's a simple way to think about it. Use the 3-2-1 formula. Aim for 3 evergreen products, 2 seasonal products, and 1 trending product. You'll want to rotate between 3 evergreen products, 2 seasonal products, and 1 trending product. And that's how I like to rotate making products in my shop, so that I don't have a bunch of seasonal products or a bunch of trending products. I have a good mix of all different types of products that can bring in steady sales while also giving me boosts of sales during certain times of the year. This is how you create the real stability in your business and for your family, is by having a good mix of all of these products. And if you're stuck on what to sell, I put together a free guide with over 100 digital product ideas. It'll give you plenty of inspiration for evergreen products, seasonal products, and even trending products. You'll be able to get these products listed in your shop today if you wanted to, and you can find the link in the description. So here's what I want you to take away from this. You don't need social media, you don't need a massive shop, and you don't need to figure everything out today. My first $3,000 came from one digital product that worked, and then I learned how to build on it. That same process is available to you. Start with one product that solves a real problem, get it in front of the right buyers, and then stack those small wins into bigger wins. Making money on Etsy isn't about luck, it's about focusing on the things that actually make money. If you can do that, even as a complete beginner, you can start making sales every single day from digital products. The hardest part isn't starting, it's staying consistent long enough to see results. Too many beginners give up after a couple of weeks because they haven't made their first sale, but Etsy doesn't work that way. In the next video, I'll show you the exact 90-day plan that I recommend you start with as a complete beginner, so you can make your first sale even faster. If you're ready to take this seriously and give your shop the best chance at success, then this is the video you'll want to watch next.